Welcome to NECKROOTS podcast. This is episode 6. We're going to be exciting. Titled Fall Forward and Look Upward. I'm Kit James.
Austin Davis.
We're excited to be here. Thank you, Neck Nation, for plugging into your power station. We're going to get started and bring you some juice.
Absolutely. And I'm glad that we're talking about this today. Falling forward, looking upward, right? The world, we've talked about this a lot, Kit. The world is an unforgiving place. It's a hard place to be in. And one thing that the world will do is it will condition you to think or to know or to recognize that failure is a negative thing, right?
Just hearing you say it, it sounds like a negative thing.
It sounds like a negative thing. Society will tell us that those who continually fail, man, that there's a negative stigma about that, right? But that's not true, is it, Kit?
No, it's not true. I've failed lots of times and I've learned lots of times.
Yeah, me too. I've had my fair share of failures and am grateful for those. So I'm excited to get into this today and talk about how falling forwards or failing forwards is actually a benefit to us in our lives and how we can capitalize on that.
Okay, well, I appreciate it. Everybody goes through pain, failure. The only thing for certain is uncertainty in this world, right? It's going to happen.
Yep.
It don't matter. It don't matter if you're wrapped up in bubble wrap, something bad's going to happen, and we know that, right?
Yeah.
So I think we're conditioned to avoid pain, to stay away from pain, failure, which, I mean, is kind of smart depending on the pain it is.
Sure.
But guess what happens on the road of life?
What's that?
Life.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to happen. So there's a couple examples of, I mean, you look at falling forward and looking upward in any condition, in any circumstances. One of the ones that sticks out to me is Michael Jordan, for example.
Sure.
Right?
Okay.
I think about Michael Jordan and people look at him as the greatest player that ever played the game, right? And, I mean, we're not here to contest that, but he's dang good.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And his reputation follows him. So he didn't make the high school team when he first tried out. And
I didn't know that about him.
yeah, and when you hear his documentary and you listen to him talk, his older brother was a lot better than him, right? Talent-wise and development-wise. And so he had to work really hard. And even though he didn't make that high school team his freshman year, somehow he's broken all the records and he's gone down in history.
Yeah.
Reggie Jackson struck out more times than anybody in the major leagues. I mean, he's got more strikeouts, but we don't talk about that, do we?
No, we don't. We never talk about that. We
No.
always talk about his grand slams,
Yep,
right?
his grand slams. So
That's true. And, thinking along those same lines, we've got, just throw it back even further, right? We got Thomas Edison, right? The guy, thanks for incandescent and indoor lighting, Thomas Edison.
Yep.
And we talk about, this guy and his success and creating the light bulb and all this stuff and the great things that have come because of it. But we don't ever focus on or really talk about very much the 1,000 times that he had to fail before he got it right. Every once in a while it gets mentioned, but think about what those failures led to. And if he hadn't failed 1,000 times, would he ever really have gotten it? Maybe he only failed 500 times.
Right.
Right? Would we have the light bulb today? Maybe not. Right?
It's a good thing you didn't give up.
Yeah, it's a good thing he didn't give up. And it's a good thing that those failures led him to his next failure, right?
Yeah, you're right. It was 1,001. His 1,001 was the light bulb.
That was it.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good one. So I have to ask myself, Austin, what do these guys have in common?
What is it?
I mean, the only thing I can think of is they've learned to take their setbacks, their failures, and they've used them as, building stepping stones on their pathway to becoming a better them and to fulfilling their dreams and doing what they do. But it's really a mind hack. It's really a mindset because we are conditioned to avoid all that, to avoid failure. And, we talked about when the little kid falls down, he don't care. But when we get older, we learn that falling down
is embarrassing.
It's embarrassing.
Right?
It's bad. It's not good, right? So I think they look at when they look at their failures or setbacks, they say, cool, what did I learn? What can I learn? How do I grow? And they'll dissect it and figure it out, especially Thomas Edison. I'm glad you brought that up because, I mean, his was an all scientific, right? He had to figure it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's almost like a process of elimination, right? Okay, awesome. 999 didn't work.
Yeah.
Right? And how do you stay up during those moments? How do you stay positive? How do you, right?
How do you keep going?
Yeah.
Right. Especially in our own lives. Right. Because we're all going through it. We're marching through life, and we're going to continue to have failures. Right. There's nothing that we can do to keep that from happening. So
Yeah.
how do we keep getting up, and how do we make sure that we fall forward?
Well, really, we just have to. It really is in our minds, right? We have to make that choice. When there was a quote that wasn't too long ago. This guy said, "Hey, if I jump in that bullpen right there, in that arena with that bull, and he's angry, and that bull is conditioned to charge, right?
Sure.
We're conditioned to stay away from pain and failure. He's conditioned to charge and cause pain and cause failure." And he said, "Hey, if I jump in there and tell that bull that I'm a vegetarian, you think he'll charge me?"
He's still going to charge you.
Right?
Yeah.
So life's the same way.
Yeah.
We can't go after life. We can't go about life and think because we're this or that, we're not going to have any problems. We're going to have problems.
Yeah.
And we know this. So I liken it to when we go fishing. I mean, there's a reason you call it fishing.
Yeah.
We don't call it catching.
No. In fact, for me, most of the time I'm not catching much. So
When you first start out fishing, right? Can
Yeah.
you imagine if I said, "Hey, Austin, let's go catching"? We already know we're going to catch.
yeah, where's the challenge?
Where's the fun in that?
Yeah.
So I think it's a lot the same, right?
Yeah.
We need to look at life the same way. I think the three examples that we used, they looked at it like a challenge. We get up, we go about our day, everything's going good, and then there's something that spoils our day or something bad happens. I mean, we're hanging our head. That's where look up comes in.
Yeah.
Look up. Keep your head up.
Keep your head
Right?
up.
Look to your power. Look to your source. Find the real you and keep moving forward. I mean, we're going to get knocked back. But if we physically get knocked back, but we fall forward, that's okay. That means we learned something.
Yeah.
Right? And we can keep going. But I liken it to fishing because every time we go out there, I mean, if you're not tangled up in the trees or you're not, getting water in your wader somewhere or the river's rising faster than you expected it to or whatever. The only thing for certain when you're fishing is uncertainty too. You're going to have a rat nest in your reel. You're going to rip the lips. You're going to set the hook too soon. That's why they don't call it catching, and it wouldn't be no fun if we went out there and we're just catching. So I look at these examples and I look at this title in this podcast and I say, okay, we're going to go through it. So is it going to make us or is it going to break us? Are we going to be bitter or are we going to be better?
Yeah.
I mean, that choice really comes down to us. It's up to us.
It is.
Right?
It is. It's all internal and
Yeah.
our perception and how we look at it.
And perception's reality.
Yeah. You know what? That reminds me of something that you told me earlier, right? Which is it's not so much about the circumstance, it's about our focus, right? Where is our focus while we're going through these trials and these struggles?
Right. And so I think knowing what our focus is that day, knowing where our desired outcome is at, whatever we're reaching for, whatever we're striving for, even if it's small or in between, it don't matter. If we have a clear vision on what we're going for, what we're working towards, and even if it's just being better tomorrow, like we always talk about,
Yeah.
than we are today, we're winning. It's a batting average. It's like old Reggie. He didn't get up there and say, "This is how many times I struck out." He said, "This is how many times I tapped that over the fence."
Yeah, no kidding.
Right? But it's a batting average. He knows failures are coming with successes, and we just got to have more of one than the other.
Absolutely. There's an aspect of this that came to my mind as we were talking about, falling forward and failure, and that is, why are we so conditioned to gravitate towards success, right? What drives us towards success? And there's a connection between success and happiness, right? But the problem with that is every time we obtain success, we raise the bar on happiness,
Yeah.
right?
Well, you're absolutely right. Not only that, so if we get to, hey, I'm going to be happy when I get this promotion, when I get this job, when I get this calling, when I get here,
Yeah.
right? When happiness becomes a destination-driven thing, what do we do when we show up? We remodel happiness.
Yeah. Yeah. We change what
Yep.
happiness looks like. We redefine it for
Yeah.
ourselves all the time.
We need another 1,000 square feet of happiness. We need to do this. This needs to be that color, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So we do. We redefine it. Every aspect of your life, when you get there to that destination, you automatically raise the bar. So guess what? You're going to be chasing, you're going to be on that treadmill for a long time chasing happiness. And we talked about in a previous episode that money's just numbers.
Right.
Numbers never end.
Numbers never end.
So if we're chasing
Money.
then it's the same thing,
Yeah.
right? It's okay to have points where we say, hey, I'm going to shoot for this. And then when I get there, I'm going to shoot for this. I mean, that's just smart. But you can't lay your happiness on it. I heard a thing when they talked about this, that true happiness is joy. Finding joy in the journey, finding joy in the daily routine. So your daily routine is your habits. If you're going to work and you're doing your work and you hate your job, but you'll be happy when you get here, you're not going to be happy until you find joy in that daily routine. And in that daily routine, the interesting thing is joy is constant. It goes on forever. Happiness, you get there and you're like, you do happy birthday to me, whatever.
Yeah.
Program's over, dude. You raise the bar again.
Yep.
Right? But joy's constant. Joy comes with us. Joy is what we find in the daily doing.
You know what? That's so true. And I've been going through kind of a little bit of a journey myself for the last year and a half, probably about 18 months, so year and a half of transforming myself, right? So in order to find joy, we have to change our perception of our circumstance, of our situation, and we have to view that within a more positive light. Right. And I've had to do that in the last 18 months with regard to my job, right? There's been times in my life where I've been happier, and it's been kind of hard to get through this job. And so I've had to change my perception and say, you know what, the job, here's all the things that I'm grateful for, right? And here's the reasons why this is a good thing. And instead of chasing happiness or saying, you know, when I get a new job, I'll be happy, or, you know, when I get a promotion, I'll be happy. It's no, I can have joy right now.
Right.
If I just change the way that I'm looking at this.
Yep.
And I've seen that before in previous jobs, right? We had way back when I worked at a warehouse that shipped merchandise. And trailers would come in and they would drop off boxes of merchandise, and nobody wanted to go back there and unload these trailers, right?
Yeah.
It was the worst job in the world to have to go in and unload these trailers that came from China. They were hot. They were muggy. In the summer, it was like 120, 130 degrees inside these trailers, and it was just miserable. Well, me and a couple other guys went back there, and we started unloading these trailers. And it just became so much fun for us. Even though everybody dreaded this job, we ended up making the best of the moment, right? And then after a while, everybody started asking, hey, do you guys need help back there? And then people wanted to go back and unload the trailers because they knew how much fun we were having back there while we were doing it. So it is really just changing our perceptions. This is an internal change that we have to make in order to find that joy instead of just chasing happiness all the time.
You know what? You can find joy, you can find fun in any activity. And that's something I taught my boys when I was teaching them to work. Is, oh, Dad, this is going to be hard. That's going to be hard. And I'm like, yeah, life's hard. We already talked about that.
Yeah.
But guess what? You're going to man up. We're going to find a way to make this fun. And we turn it into a game. And so I look at that example and I look at our own life and say, hey, look, it's just like a game. We just don't want to foul out, right?
Right.
Or whatever, get thrown out. We don't want to umpire the umpire, right? We don't want to get tossed out of the game, but we want to get in the game, and we know, hey, we're going to strike out. We know we're going to foul out. We know we're going to have issues, but how do we win? If we look at life the same way as we do fishing, because it's not called catching, and we start to change our perception, have that paradigm shift, you know what? We'll start looking at this pain and this struggle struggle equals growth, but these guys aren't going through it, right? They're growing through it. We just have to change our mind, do that life hack, that mind hack, and say, let me grow through this instead of go through it, because then we're going to be proud of what we learned, and we're going to be proud. We're going to see what we're made of as well.
Yeah.
And then you look at all they're going to come. They're going to come in waves. Sometimes they're going to be like bananas, man. They're going to come in bunches, right?
Yep.
Problems, struggles, pains, disappointment, defeat, all of it. It'll
Yeah.
come in bunches sometimes, and it feels overwhelming. But if we can just have that paradigm shift, look at it a little bit differently, like a game, or however you need to position it in your mind to see, hey, if I can get through this, I'm going to be this much further ahead, and I'm going to learn this, this, and this. And it'll just help me to be able to help myself and those around me to be able to see life a little bit brighter, see that hope a little bit clearer, and that destination or the do, right? The desired outcome, to see it become a reality.
Yeah, and you've said it before too, and this goes right along with that. It's slipping my mind right now, but basically that we shouldn't waste an opportunity,
Yeah.
right? So don't waste a problem, don't waste an issue, don't waste a trial, don't waste these things, right? Don't sit and sulk about how terrible they are,
Yeah.
and woe is me. These are opportunities, like you were just saying. These are opportunities for growth.
Yeah.
These are opportunities for change. These are stepping stones. These are opportunities to move forward, even though we're falling, right?
Yep. And fall forward. And I mean, if you look at that's your growth, seeds grow in darkness, right? We grow during our darkest times and our toughest struggles. So if that's the case, why don't we look at it like, hey, let me embrace this, right? Let me learn from it. Otherwise, you're going to go through it. You're going to have a bad attitude. You're going to look at it the wrong way, and it'll be a wasted pain. It'll be a wasted struggle, right?
Oh, man.
And instead of wasting it, let's make it our mantra and make it work for us, right?
Absolutely.
It's like the wind in the oak tree. Let's make it, let that wind blow.
Let it blow.
Well, let's just see how strong I am.
Yeah.
Right?
Keep those roots deep, guys.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the other examples that I can think of when that I gave my kids, it's an easy one to understand. Makes a lot of sense, but since the only thing for certain is uncertainty, dangers, troubles, pains, turbulent times, whatever you want to call them, are going to come our way.
Yeah.
And we don't know when, right? We can get up in the morning and expect one thing and another will happen. That's life. So I'd always explain to kids on the way to the farm, there's a place you can pull over and look at these buffalo. Well, I'd always tell my kids, the buffalo, are you a buffalo or are you a cow? And the reason is, just the other day, my son called and was kind of hanging his head about something. And I said, son, are you a buffalo? Did I raise a buffalo or did I raise a cow? Buffalo, Dad.
Buffalo Dad.
I said, you know what to do? Yeah, I know what to do, Dad.
There you go.
All right, mount up, handle it, right?
Yeah.
So the story is, when a thunder bumper, something dangerous, any danger, anything that they would be afraid of,
Sure.
when it rolls over, if you've got buffalo here and cows here, right? Let's say it is a lightning storm, a thunderstorm, it's scary. We have those in our own lives, right?
Absolutely, we do.
A buffalo is conditioned to face its fear and its pain and its troubles and run towards it. A cow is conditioned to turn away from it and run away from it. And that cow will run until that cow has a heart attack or it gets away from that danger,
Sure.
whatever comes first.
But if it's a storm, you're not getting away from it.
No, so
Yeah.
the interesting thing is, buffalo's running towards it, towards the storm, towards the danger. What happens?
They pass each other.
They pass each other, right? So the buffalo doesn't stay in that troubled time as long as the cow, because when the cow turns and runs away, he stays in that problem longer. He stays in that danger and in that challenging period of his time longer, and it takes more energy.
It does.
So it's the same thing with our challenges and our struggles that we have here. Let's face them. Let's learn from them. Let's grow from them. Even in the darkness, seeds grow. We got to remember that, right?
Yep.
So under pressure, under darkness, whatever it is, if we can face it, we can look up, find our power, and fall forward, meaning learn from it. You know what? That is what's going to condition us to get better and not bitter.
Absolutely. And I love that message. And so, Neck Nation, let us all be like the buffalo, right? Let's run towards these storms. Let's run towards these trials and these struggles. Let's accept them for what they are, which is opportunities for us to grow and to become better and get through these storms quicker and not expend as much energy. And we'll be better tomorrow than we are today, and that is our message. And so, do you have any other closing words for us, Kit, before we cancel out of here?
Brother, we could go on and on and on, but we got to save some more juice for the wire, right?
There you go. We do, absolutely. Okay, Neck Nation. So if you liked what you heard today, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the podcast. Remember, I say this every time, but the more likes we have, the more people we can reach and hopefully bring some positive positive messages and inspiration and hope into their lives. And so that's it for today. Bless up, Neck Nation.
Bless up. We're out.